Lately, I've been looking for ways to upgrade my gaming experience, and since my PC is already pretty in-game, I turned to my display. This is my brand new monitor from MSI, and for the first time ever, I went with an ultra-wide. And I kind of don't think I can go back. So let's talk about it. The first thing that I have to mention right away is that it's a QD OLED panel, meaning you'll get true blacks, bright and vibrant shades of color, and you'll experience gaming or media in a totally new way. Turning on HDR with this means that you'll get the best possible looking version of everything you do with the most contrast and detail. If you don't know, OLED panels display each pixel of color individually and has the ability to turn each pixel on and off independently. This means that when you're displaying blacks on an OLED monitor, you're not actually displaying anything. The screen's off in that space. This gives you the sharpest and cleanest shadows you can possibly get, and it's especially noticeable in games that have more of a focus on visuals and environmental tone, like Dead Space or Risk of Rain 2. Both of these games have a lot of resources dedicated to producing these amazing graphics and really trying to immerse you inside of the game. And when you combine the best way of displaying those colors with a 34-inch ultra-wide monitor, the level of immersion is just insane. It really feels like those scenes in movies where the character has like a holographic screen in front of them. It's safe to say that you'll never have a need for more screen with this thing. Now, if you're like me, all of this visual quality sounds great, but the competitive specs matter a little bit more. Well, that's not an issue with this monitor because it's 240 Hz and has a 0.03 millisecond response time. This makes it perfect for multiplayer shooter games, which makes it perfect for me because that's like half of everything I play. The first game I tried on this monitor was actually XDefiant because that's what I was playing when I got the notification that it arrived, and I knew right away that this was going to be good. The way most games will handle this ultra-wide resolution is by adding a little bit more to your field of view and heavily warping the edges, which gets you this really immersive, almost POV camera-like feel. And let me know if this is just me, but thanks to that perspective warping, I feel like I'm faster when I use this monitor than when I use a normal. I can't think of a single game that I would rather play in 1080 now that I've experienced it on an ultra-wide. Now, sometimes when you get an OLED monitor, you run the risk of something called burn-in. Basically, what this does is leave a small trace of the color that was being displayed on the monitor behind because it's literally burned into the monitor. But with this monitor, you don't have to worry about that. MSI has their own OLED Care 2.0 system running, which will automatically dim the display and slightly shift the image by a few pixels every once in a while, which completely eliminates the risk of burn-in. Now, it wouldn't even really matter because the monitor comes with a 3-year warranty that covers burn-in, but it's still nice to have. It's also got a few quality of life features that are worth mentioning, like being updatable through USB for convenience, or a Type-C DisplayPort alternative with a 98-watt power delivery. I want to show you guys just a few games that I noticed look especially good on this monitor, because these are the games that made me feel like I could not let go of this thing. First off, like I mentioned earlier, XDefiant. A lot of features on this monitor work together to make it perfect for an action-packed shooter game like this. You've got a fraction of a millisecond response time to get every single motion you make instantly, 240 Hz refresh rate, which is still insanely smooth even to me after I've used 360 Hz previously, and combining that with like the perspective warping of the ultra-wide monitor, it just makes this game feel so buttery smooth. It feels good to finally have a game that runs at a high level and a monitor that can support that level that it's running at. The first game I tested to see the color disparity on this thing was Risk of Rain 2. I think this game has a huge variety of different colors and shades and just a very well-made environment, and it looks 10 times better on this monitor. I've played this game for like 300 hours, and this was the smoothest experience I have ever had on it. For those of you out there that are more single-player story game oriented, I finished my playthrough of the Dead Space remake on this monitor, and transitioning to an ultra-wide halfway through allowed me to really see the difference, and it is just insane. It adds so much to the atmosphere when you can see more of your surroundings, and the way it curves at the edge of your peripheral vision just helps you to feel like you're actually there, along with, of course, the OLED panel, which is making all of these dark shadows and creepy corners just that much deeper. When I played this game in a dark room and I was at a dark point on the map, my whole room was pitch black. This monitor is probably the most significant upgrade I've made to my gaming setup in the past couple years, and it's made the biggest noticeable difference to me. It truly feels like an upgrade. I think a lot of tech upgrades are technically upgrades, but you don't really feel all that different after making them. But this checks all the boxes for me specs wise, and it's super exciting. Whether you play multiplayer games, single player games, whether you use your PC for video editing or Zoom calls, this monitor is better in every scenario. So I guess it really is true when people say that once you go to an ultra wide, you can't go back. Thank you so much to MSI for allowing me to test out this monitor. I had a blast with it and I would highly recommend it. There's very few upgrades out there that will feel as fun as as this one will. If you want to check it out, the link and information will be in the description as well as a pinned comment. But this is the reason I make tech content. Reviewing things like this monitor is the most fun thing that I can do. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to playing some games, but I'll see you guys in the next one.